Good morning, guys. It's Naveen joining call. Can you guys hear me? Could you please type in the chat window? Great. Rahul, one more time, buddy. Can you just quickly type in? Rahul, can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so it looks like some of them are joining in. Rahul, I have made you the co-host. Can you go ahead and please log in and share your screen, Rahul?
Yes.
Okay, and we are in ANS admin. So go ahead and exit ANS admin, please. Okay, exit out. Back to you. Okay, can you now go ahead and look at the history? Okay, we'll do a quick review here. Let's say run the Devops. Okay, that is me. Okay, now here's a, go ahead and cat my_search, please. Cool. My_search. Oh, acha. Interesting. Okay, I think maybe. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong place. Okay. Yeah. Now, okay. If you scroll up a little bit, Rahul, scroll up a little bit. If you look at line number 346, can you tell me what is it doing?
346.
Yes, highlighted.
Yeah. So whatever content is there inside this my search file, it is grabbing it inside this text file from the text file.
Very good. If you take a look at line number 332 and 333, there is a subtle difference between them. Can you recall what is the difference between them?
332, yeah. It is printing only the number of rows, means 1, 2, 3, and here it is printing the field. Like if it is at the first row, then it will print first field. If it is at the second row, it will print second field, like that.
I think the previous one is doing what that is doing. It is printing the row number for each row. The $NR is printing the total number of rows. Execute 332 and 333 once, please, just for sake of clarification. Sorry about that. Okay, and first cat. Okay, yeah, that is the demo. We just cat. Oh no, cat demo, please. First cat demo. Okay. Okay, so we have 4 columns data, and we have the NR is number of row, and now do a 333.
Yes.
So now he's a slightly deeper. Are you able to recall what it is doing?
Yeah, it is using this command. It is printing the number of rows, like first row, second row, third row, and fourth row. And in $NR, it is printing the field. Like if it is a first row, then it will print the first field. If it is a second row, then it will print the second field. If it is a third row, then it will print the third.
Very good. Got it. Okay. So first row, first field, second row, second field, third row, third field, fourth row, fourth field, and it's continuing. In other words, it's printing in a diagonal map. Catch me?
Yes.
What do you think is awk, Rahul? It's a slightly tough question.
Awk is we are using it to slicing or getting any particular data from the file.
Yeah. So in other words, more precisely, we are using it as a text processing utility. We are just processing the text inside the files. Okay, it's a command for text processing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, scroll up for the history, please. We were at 333. Scroll up, please. Let's see. Now, by any chance, do you remember what is the line 326 or 327 doing, Rahul?
326, when we printing the first field and second field, it is adding the underscore.
Very good.
Here we are doing reverse.
In other words, that is acting like an output delimiter. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Please scroll a little bit. So Apache CTL, then I think we had some issue there. System CTL, scroll up, please. What does cut do?
Cut is again slicing from the file.
Very good. More simple answer, it is slicing the fields. Cool.
Yes.
And let's say, scroll up, please. See password, output delimiter. Okay, cut. These are the various combinations we tried. Then scroll up, please. Cut minus C and Ansible version. Okay, what is ampersand greater than?
Ampersand greater than, if this command getting executed, then the output will get stored in this file, and if there is any error, then that will also getting stored in this file.
Excellent. Keep it up, Rahul. Please scroll up. Okay, let's see. Okay, explain me 217 and 218. Highlight them. Highlight the complete lines.
Yeah, we are.
Simple answer.
Yeah, it is. We are searching for the either file or directory.
Excellent. The first one is printing the files. The second one is printing the directories. Okay.
Directory.
Scroll up, please. Difference between greater than and double greater than?
Yeah, it is a single greater than it will override, and double greater than it will append.
Excellent. Explain line 200.
Yeah, we are printing from line 6 to 10.
Very good. Outstanding. Keep it up. Scroll up, please. Git bash, grep bash, midday greps. Okay. And these are all the permutations or combinations of the grep. Okay. Keep scrolling up, please. Most of it is grep. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now let's see. We'll try out a few more here. Let's see. One more time. Let's say scroll all the way down and do the history, please. One more time. So let's see, where is the grep? Execute 346. One more time, please. Talk to me. Talk to me, Rahul.
Yes. Yeah, it is searching for the whatever inside this my search file. It is searching inside the text.
Very good. Cool. Now execute the one that I have sent. Talk to me.
Yeah. Grep hyphen e line hyphen e above hyphen dash. Yeah, it is searching for line above bash inside the text, but what is hyphen e?
Good answer. What is the problem here?
Hyphen e.
Tough question, Rahul.
Yeah.
Okay, short answer, Rahul. No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is, there is no, we were also searching for bash, but the word bash is not here.
Okay.
Which is not a problem. Now, there is a subtle difference between the previous command and this command. Can you take a look and
Previous command and this command. Okay.
yes.
Uh, this, uh, we are using here files, and here we are specifying specifically which words. Maybe
Excellent.
that's the difference.
So in other words, it is the same.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Now try this.
It is also giving the same.
Good answer. As simple as that. This is more like a shortcut. Most of the time, we may end up using this, and this is called a pattern. We are searching for
Yes.
patterns. Okay.
Yes.
In this place.
This is printing those lines which start with this.
Very good. If you remove the caret, what will it print?
It will print wherever there is this.
Good answer. So every line where the word is appearing, whereas the caret is only printing those lines where it is starting with the word. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say put this dollar instead of grep for this dollar.
This dollar. Okay.
Dollar symbol. Why are we not getting anything?
This is searching for the last any line containing this as at the last, but no line contain this at the last. That's why it is not open.
So let's say instead of this dollar, put file dot dollar. Okay, let's say execute this, please. What do we get? Tough one.
We are not specifying anything. That's why maybe.
Very good. Okay, so in other words, execute the next one.
So if any line start and ends with this, then only it will return.
Oh, sorry. Test.txt. Okay. Why are we not seeing anything already?
Yeah. So if any line will contain this at the start as well as at the end, then only it will return. But no line inside the test contain.
Okay. Modify the test.txt to match this pattern, please. Cool. Just cat the test.txt. You just put the other one. Okay, you took the shortcut. Okay, edit the file one more time. Paste this content into it. Try to paste this content that I sent you.
They remove this already contained.
Good one. Okay, so let's execute the next one. Execute the next one, please. Now, what do you think it is doing?
it prints everything which is inside the file.
It is printing everything, okay?
Yeah.
Execute. Catch it.
Yeah. So right now it is printing wherever there is a caret character, but this time we are also passing the escape. What it is escape to escape character. That's why it is considering it as a caret only.
Oh, have you heard me? So I think I was on mute. A more
Yeah.
precise searching for the caret symbol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now instead of the bring up the same command, instead of \caret, just put a dot. What does it do?
This time also it is searching for dots only.
As simple as that. Wherever there's a dot, it is displaying as a simple one. But let's say remove the backslash. What do you think?
It is repeating everything.
Everything.
Previously, when there is a backslash, it is a escape sequence. That's why it is considering only dot.
Okay.
Right now, it is printing everything.
Very good. Now change the dot to T dot dot S. T dot dot
Sorry, T dot dot.
S. S. S for Sam, sorry.
S.
Talk.
Yeah, it is grabbing the each character will start with the T and S. T and end with the S.
Let's say, just modify the file for the sake of discipline once. Go ahead and open the file. And let us say, add a line, maybe the first line, insert a line, and just put that's it. Something like that's it. Or that's all. Just say that's all. No, that's space all. Okay, run it. I'm sorry, run the previous command. Okay, anything we're missing?
This time that contain more than 2 characters. That's one.
Good answer. So what do you think we can do to get that one also? That's all also.
Maybe add one more dot.
No, I want 2 and 3.
2 and 3. We can use that pipe.
Very good. Do it, please. Catching it?
Yes.
Very good. And now say, put a simple line, small letters in the search pattern. Replace it with a line. Okay, and okay. Now that should be pretty straightforward. Now bring up the same command and add a \B, B for boy at the end. What do you think?
Yeah. Right now, this it is not considering this word which contain extra S.
Okay, that is a partial answer. Anything else you can think of?
Back.
It's a slightly tough one, I think. Actually, there's a slight confusion here. According to my understanding, it should be line and space. \b means blank. Catching it wrong. But there's a problem here. What is the problem?
Don't know.
If you see the line dot, after line, there is no blank.
Yes.
Still printing it. The last line.
Yes. Blank. Yeah. Okay.
So that is what even I'm thinking. No further character, post line. No further character, post line. Okay. Now, after that, there is no line. I think is what Shrishal is telling, seems to be telling.
Yes.
Okay, good one. But let's do the reverse. \b line.
Now it is doing the same. If any line contains any character before it, then it will not grep.
Good answer. And let's say put at the end also, forward and back, at the end also, beginning and end, \b.
Yeah. It will print the whole character. Only grep for whole.
Okay, so left hand side, right hand side, it looks like there is a blank here.
Yeah.
Okay, now say instead of that one, just put a Y and an F. Remove the B line B and just put a small y and a small F for Frank.
Whole Y.
No. Remove the complete pattern.
Okay.
Now insert Y for yellow and
Yeah.
F for fox. Yes, run it. Okay, that should be pretty straightforward. But let's now type in, bring up the same command. The pattern is YF question mark. So what do you think question is doing?
Question. It is kind of or if the character contain Y and F or only Y, then it will return maybe.
Good answer. So in other words, Y is mandatory, F can be 0 or more. Okay?
Yeah.
Replace the question with a star.
Star. Yeah, it is same, but this time there can be many,
Good answer.
as many.
Good answer. So it actually, I think it is. Okay. I think it is going for just one or more is what it is. Context-free grammar for compiler design. This is for bash scripting and things like that. These are some of the techniques we need to be familiar with. Okay. Okay, so not bog you down with too much, but let's say we'll take a few important ones here. Say, come back here. Okay, So let's say create a file called my_servers. And let's put this one. Okay, copy paste this text. I think you missed something.
Yeah.
The last two lines, yeah, there you go. Okay, so write and quit. Okay, so now cat the, now our objective is, let us say we want to find all the valid IP address, cat it once. Okay, generally we have lots of files like this and things like that. We are looking for certain patterns and so on. So our objective is to find all the valid IP addresses. Tell me which are invalid IP addresses.
This is invalid.
Cool. Simple as that. But what is the problem trying to locate these IP addresses? Can you think?
This dot, each IP and address contains this dot. Maybe that creates issue.
Okay, so short and sweet, more precisely. If you have one or two, or if you have 10 or 20 lines, it's okay. But what if you have hundreds and thousands of them? Then we will not be able to manually do it, right? It becomes
Yes.
very productive task. So let's do cat and pipe, and let's do a grep. Grep. Space minus a capital E. And space within double quotes, within square brackets. Give 0 to 9, 0-9. 9. Run it. Okay, explain.
It is breaking the numeric numbers from 0 to 9.
In other words, it's selecting all the lines which have the numbers in it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now let's say, bring up the same command and put another 0 to 9. Add another one, add another pattern, similar pattern. So let's say, okay, you haven't run it. Run it, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think it is catching?
This time it is doing only for two characters, maybe.
So in other words, more precisely, it is catching all those patterns where you have two occurrences of the numbers.
Okay, okay.
So repeat that with the third one.
Three occurrences, right?
Cool. So we can roughly say it is 3 occurrences of the patterns, but what is the problem here?
Here there is 4 occurrences, and that also we are getting.
In other words, more precisely, the last IP address is not a valid IP.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say instead of 0 to 9 repeating like that, what we'll do, take out the last two 0 to 9s, keep only one pattern 0 to 9, and within flower brackets, put in 1, 3, 3, enter. Catch it.
It is. It is if correct If there is a character contain 1, 2, or 3 numeric numbers there, then it will return maybe.
Okay, so in other words, more precisely 1 to 3, if they are numbers, is what it is. And now bring up the same command and put a dot. 1, 3. No. 1, 3. After the flower bracket on the right hand side, put a dot. Run it. Okay, so here what it is doing is 1 to 3. 1 to 3 followed by a dot. So it is looking for a pattern where there is a dot on the left hand side. It has 1, 2, or 3 numbers. Catching it, Rahul? If you look at the 172, there is a dot.
Yeah.
172 dot means ideally, from what I recall, it is 172 is 3 numbers and a dot. The next line also 255 and a dot. The next line also 3 and a dot. So why is it catching 3 and a dot? Because there is at least 1, 2, or 3 numbers on the left hand side of the dot.
So why it is not catching this dot 9 and 0?
Why it is not?
Catching this zeros too, I'm not able to understand.
Why it is not catching? Okay, let's see if we can simplify that. Let me try something I want to read. Okay, now bring up the same command.
Yeah.
And put a backslash in front of the dot. I think this is the one I just explained. Okay, run it. So if you recall, the backslash is used for saying that, hey, I'm looking for a symbol called dot. I think the explanation of this I gave you earlier.
Yeah.
Backslash dot, that's where it's actually looking for a symbol called dot. So anyway, dot symbol it is bringing it up, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's say now copy from 0 to 9, 1 to 3 up to the dot, backslash dot. Bring up the same command, copy the part of from the left hand side bracket.
Till where?
Highlight it. Highlight the from there till dot. Dot also. Slightly.
Yeah.
You don't need the double quote now. Okay. Copy it and paste it after the dot within the flower bracket. What did you do? The 1, 3 is within the flower bracket. You remove that flower bracket there. Yeah. And remove at the end also. Now run it. So notice it has highlighted the first 2 dots of the IP address.
Yeah.
So it is looking for 3 digits dot 3, at least 3 digits.
Yeah.
Left hand side, it is looking for at least 3 digits dot, and then on the right hand side, at least 3 digits, then a dot. Catching it all.
Yes. At least 3D. Okay.
Repeat the same pattern with another with another thing on the right hand side. Show dot. Paste it, whatever you copied earlier. Include the dot. You can just expand. Okay. So now our pattern is matching dot, dot, and a dot. 3 digits on the left hand side, then 3 up to 3 digits in the middle, and on the right hand side up to 3 digits, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's say 3.2345. Okay, so So there are 3 digits here. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up the same command and let's put a \b at the end as the last. It's after that
\b.
\b for boy instead of the
What is?
oh, remove the dot and slash at the end. Instead of the dot slash dot, we'll put a
Okay.
Cool. Run it, please. We're still getting the last one. That is not a valid IP. Strange.
Maybe we need to edit it first, maybe. At the start.
Please put it at the beginning.
Okay.
Pardon me, sorry.
Yeah, we are now getting.
Very good. So everything is valid, right? All the IPs are valid?
Yeah.
Okay, so most of the time we'll be using the grep -c. It's a good thing to have in mind, okay?
Okay.
Good.
Capital E means?
Capital E.
What does this mean? Capital,
see, just go ahead and do help. I don't remember the abbreviation.
Okay.
Rep -, help or -c.
Okay, sorry.
Pardon me. It says
extended. Okay.
Okay, that's not very helpful, but that is generally what we are using. Either a small e or a capital E. They're regular expressions.
Yes.
And expression is by itself another set of things. We'll not worry too much about that now.
Yes.
So let's see where we were. I think yesterday. Get back into a little bit of Ansible, please. Log back in as Ansible. Okay, bash it, and then history. Let's see what are some of the important things here. We have set up the SSH there. And then we have the Ansible log thing here. SSH you set up, inventory. What is inventory?
Inventory contains the information about the worker host.
Good answer. Scroll up, please. Let's see. What is the filter doing?
Filter is filtering the tags from the set of output.
Good answer. So in other words, more precisely, setup is giving JSON output, the dictionary of dictionaries, in which we have a key called Ansible _mounts.
Yes.
Okay, and let's see. Scroll up a little bit, please.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to run both. Okay, I didn't get a chance to look at that. EC2. Okay, scroll up. Sure. See, that's where we set up Python. Okay. EC2. Inventory all set up and grep for git version. Setup is doing this. What does copy do?
Copy is to copy the file from the from source to destination.
Simple.
Source can be anything.
Very good. And what is -b?
-b is for run this command as root user.
Good answer. Scroll please. Setup and web for git version. Now we try to install the latest. Okay. What does state equals to latest mean?
Yeah, we are updating the package, whatever there is, to the latest version.
Good answer. In other words, we're installing the latest package. Okay. What is the speed for installing it? Installing package?
It is HTTPD.
No. What is the what do you say for the state? If you want to install it?
Present.
And if you want to remove it?
Maybe remove only.
Absent.
Absent.
Okay, scroll please. Okay, there you go. Present, latest, we have seen. And resource, okay, keep going. Okay, touch is pretty simple. You should be able to answer that one. And what is equals to directory mean?
Directory. Maybe we are searching for the directory.
We are creating a directory.
Okay, creating that.
And let's say, try to explain line 196.
Source. Yeah, we are fetching this file from the source temporary Mera Bharat fetch. We are fetching the file from the temp directory of the worker nodes to the current directory of our.
Okay, fetching is good. What is the second point which is happening? What is interesting which is happening?
This flat.
Okay, what do you think is flat?
Yeah, we are first time when we tried it is fetching directory also, but when we say flat equal to s, it is only fetching the content like file text file.
Very good. So what do you think is inventory host name?
Inventory host name is it is a variable, environment variable. It will give the name as the host, which is the host from which host we are fetching it.
Good answer. In other words, it's not an environment variable, it's an Ansible variable.
Okay, Ansible variable.
And okay, scroll up a little bit, please. Just 3 source, copied it. Okay, keep scrolling. Let's see if there's any slightly tough one. Fetch, and then we are seeing copy. What do you think is copy content?
We are copying the content which we specify in the txt file in destination or worker nodes.
Okay, scroll up, please. So web server, copy, and content. Okay. So in other words, content is actually writing the content into the file.
Okay.
Destination. So what is the advantage of the copy and the file and the fetch modules, Rahul?
These are modules which we can use to run on the worker nodes to perform any activity.
Okay, so what is the advantage of that? In what way is that helpful to us?
We can perform one same activity on multiple servers at the same time.
If you have tens, hundreds, and thousands of servers, we can do that, and we don't have to write the code. We are writing configuration code, not code.
Yes.
This is like configuration command. Okay.
Yes.
So let's see EC2.py. I think we were trying to run, right? I think. Did you?
Yeah, I have tried. It is running now. I have added that access key and secret key. Now it is running.
Can you show me the change that you have done?
Yeah. One. So in the INI file, this INI file.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have added this access key and secret key. Now it is running.
Very good. Is that the only change you've done?
Yes, only this.
Okay, can you run it, please?
Yeah.
Did you get it? Oh, still
Yeah, it is taking little bit time. Yeah.
See, and okay, so you run the ec2.py, and now let us see what we'll do is go back to your AWS and on the browser,
Yeah.
and let's see how many did you do a refresh? Just do refresh for sake of discipline.
Yes.
So it looks like we have 3 servers running, C1 and
Yeah.
1. And now come back to your screen, terminal. Okay. So when you look at this one, what do you think is all this one?
This is a JSON content which contain all the information which is there inside my account, like servers or anything related to EC2,
Hmm.
like instant ID, IP address,
Okay.
AMI ID, all this.
Okay. Verify the 3 addresses manually. Look at each address here. Go back and verify if the IP addresses are matching or not. Okay. Actually, you scroll down a little bit and look at EC2.
Yeah, this one is
Good.
238.
Okay. And
27. This one is second one, I guess.
good answer.
Yeah, this is the second node and worker node, and this one is the first worker node. Yeah.
Okay.
All 3 servers are there.
Good answer. So now, to be more precise, what is happening? When we run ec2.py,
Yeah.
so AWS is giving us all the information, whether you want it at a zone-wise, at a region-wise, at a server-wise, at a location-wise, in all the permutations and combinations they're putting together and giving us this JSON object.
Yes, yes.
If you want each zone-wise, you can get zone-wise. If you want region-wise, you can get region-wise. If you want at a global level also, there are ways to get from
Yeah.
rep and extract that patterns from there. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Now let's see. Let's see. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, before we run this one, no, let's run this one. Let me just pass this to you. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to copy this one and say put it here. Let me check the codes. Select VC2. VC2. Okay, we are here. Let's say I'm pasting this one. Try to run this one. Okay, now run this one. Okay, so this I think will take a few seconds to a minute. What do you think is
Yes.
-I?
-I, we are specifying the file, and it will take the host from this output, and then it will print.
Excellent. So what is special about EC2.py here?
It is dynamic, which you have explained tomorrow, that we want the dynamic. If we have more than 100 server and 200 server, then how can we run this configuration on all of that? So that's why we are using it.
In other words, this is called dynamic inventory.
Yeah.
If we hard code into host file, that is called static inventory. This is called dynamic inventory. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so let's give it a moment here. Now, while this is still coming up, there is also a small problem here. It's a tough question. Can you give a thought, Rahul?
Yeah.
Could there be? It's a tough question, but give a thought. Others, please feel free to add or maybe help Rahul. What could be the problem in this process?
That I'm not able to hear your question because of the network issue. Can you repeat?
Oh, okay. There could be a small problem in this process of getting the IPs dynamically. What is the problem? What could be the problem?
It is giving so many information, like everything. So how it will get the IPs? Maybe that can be the issue.
Okay, okay. So we'll try to see this, but let's see what is happening here. What's the problem here? Can be
Connecting
I sure you want
can't be established. I'm sure you want to continue connecting.
is it asking you? Okay. Is it giving you an option to enter?
Yeah, it is saying enter yes or no.
Okay, just press yes. So that is 231. Is it giving a public IP or a private IP? That's a public IP.
It's public IP.
Private IP. See. It looks like that.
Yeah, it is a public IP.
Okay. Let's go back to terminal. So it is still working with the ping and pong, and success means it has successfully delivered it.
Yeah.
And let's see. Looks like it is waiting fingerprint. So asking can be established. This is for 231. 34, 231, 54, 232. Okay, the first two, it just looks like it is can be established. I thought since we have set up the private key and the public key, we should not even give this one. But let's see. Because we have given yes to this is the 54th one. So no, I think we just need to wait here for a minute or two. Let's give it a minute here. So, okay. While you're doing this one, go back to AWS just to keep our time productive. Go ahead and new node, new free tier node.
Free tier node.
Yeah.
This one. Should I log into this?
Add a new instance.
Okay, okay. Ubuntu?
Yeah, please choose Ubuntu. Just to keep it simple, you can add anything. One is enough, you can leave the defaults. You've chosen free tier, right?
Yes, sir. Is this much storage is okay, or should I increase?
Yes, that is okay. You can leave the defaults.
Okay. What name should I give?
And just say N3. And
Okay. Should I select this security group?
yeah. Later I might install web server and things like that. So we can use the KP1, the same. Okay, back to instances. And it's pending. Okay, now come back to terminal. We're still, it looks like we're stuck here. Do a Control C. Use -BBB. Okay, error interrupted. Okay, so now I'm also thinking we need to add an IAM role, create role. So, okay, let's do this. Go ahead and select the, in the instances, select the controller node. Right click and select instance settings. Actions, instance settings. And let's see, something called attach or replace. Let's see what it is. Attach or replace IAM role. In the settings, are you in the settings?
Yeah.
No, no, in the
Yeah. Modify and
no. Go to instance settings.
yeah. This is
No,
we want to modify IAM role, right?
yeah, we I think what else? We're going to create a new row. You want to do it from here? Yeah, okay. Create a new IAM row. Then select EC2. Search for EC2. You're in the IAM and the rows. Have you clicked on add row, create row?
No.
AWS service. Oh, okay. EC2. Then I think you have to do next. And here, permissions. Say type in EC2 full.
This one.
Yeah. And do next. You can we'll call that as EC2 full access for Ansible. Full access for Ansible. Okay, scroll down. I think you can do next. Create row. Yeah, create row. And select the row. And we'll select the created row. Okay. Now come back here and do the ping again. Ansible -i. Yeah, execute the same command again. And that is a controller node, right? We are on the controller node, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But we need to assign this role if we want to that server.
Go ahead. I think, let's see. Attach or replace IAM role. Yes. Controller.
Okay.
Instance actions. I think it's in settings, right?
Yeah. We want to assign this role. It's to full access for everything.
Save it.
Should I assign?
Yes, save it, please. Okay. Try running it. So it has given the first one. Control C and again run it. So we're looking for the key called EC2 in the dynamic inventory. So we fetch the dynamic inventory. We're only going to extract the EC2 key. So, still the same response. It's still taking a few seconds here. We'll give it a few seconds because we just assigned row. It's always coming back with 231.
Yeah, it is showing the angle for this row.
What is the IP for this one?
This is
232. So 231, it is, go back to your terminal. 231 is node 1 now. 231 is probably, says it can be established, but it's just, where is it? Can you maximize your terminal? Can you expand it towards the right hand side a little bit?
Yeah.
Very good. 231. So it touched 231, it is able to get back the information. And we are waiting for 116 and 232 is what it is. We should be able to, oh no, we should be able to get 116, but the newly added one we may not be able to get. That's what I'm trying to run, and it's taken time. Okay, what we'll do just to keep our time productive is quit out of this place so that we can save some time. And today, after the session, just run this one like this and just give it a try.
Yeah.
So that we will give it some time later. You do that and we will see, Rahul.
Okay. Okay.
Meantime, what we'll do is, let's say, we looked at EC2. Okay, now, so if you go back to the browser, okay, for N1, N2, and N3, if you give it some time, actually, at a slightly conceptual level, we should be able to get N1 and N2 IP address. We were able to get N1, but we're still waiting for N2, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you think we will get it for N3 or no? Tough question.
If it is running, then it we will get. Definitely.
If it is up and running, we will get okay. If I would say we will get it for N3, can you think of reason? Tough question.
Yeah, we haven't said that passwordless SSH for N3.
So in other words, we need to do the passwordless configuration
Yes.
as part of the due diligence or discipline, the first one.
Yes.
And if you run it, you will be able to get it.
Yes.
Okay, but in real world, so we may or we may not be able to
Yes.
do the passwordless. It's not a guarantee, is what it is. Sometimes we, in other words, we will do it, but sometimes we will not do it also.
Yes.
Ideally, let us say, what will happen is, if you were to create a node 3, the process that we would follow will be more like you select node, which is one which we were getting the ping, 231.
Yeah, from this node we are getting.
So now you select that one, then what we'll do is, right click that and look for, do you see something called an image?
Yeah.
It's okay. And select that. And then
Create image.
you create an image.
Okay.
Create image and give your names. Good answer.
Should I create?
Yes. Okay. So in a few seconds, this is going to be up, Rahul.
Yeah.
So what is the difference here? which is that one. Use the name also for that one. Just say n1 underscore image. So that
Yeah, the image maybe here. Yeah, the image is getting created here.
okay, give it a name on the left hand side also.
Yeah.
Say something like n1 image. Save it. And let's say now okay, now go launch instance from AMI.
Using this. Okay.
Launch this. Oh, sorry. This is a new one, right?
Yeah, it will create new one, but using that image.
Okay, go ahead and complete it. You can keep the defaults. Spending. Oh, okay. I think we need to give a few seconds.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but let's see. There is a difference between this one and the previous one, Rahul. Are you able to catch what is the difference?
The IP will get
The IP will get
changed. Though both server will have different IP.
So this instance will have different IP is one thing.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes. If the both server will have different IP. Yes, that's the difference.
You mean N1 and N1 copy will have different IPs?
Yes, yes.
Is that good or is that bad?
They both should have different IPs because how we will recognize. But from an Ansible point of view,
That's a good job.
we,
Go if you're able
yeah,
to
we need to do passwordless SSH for the second server also
put this
because
one.
of different IPs.
You mean for this one?
Yeah, we need, because this server has different IP, we need to do passwordless SSH for this one also.
Think again.
No. Sorry. No, we need don't need to do. Yeah, right. Sorry.
Catching it?
Yes, yes.
Very good. So now for this passwordless is automatically taken care of because we are
Yeah, because there is already that IP which.
caching. So
Yes.
in other words, imagine for a moment, this is our base image, N1 is our base image. You create 10 or 100, maybe 1000 of them in one shot.
Yes.
First one, you have configured the ANS admin, the passwordless config and everything, whatever you
Yes.
want manually. And then in a single shot, you create multiple images, or in other words, single image with multiple instances.
Yes.
And password is taken care of.
Yes.
So now, if you again run, once this is up and running, if you run the ec2.py, we'll be able to get it without any problem.
Yes.
Catching the point?
Yes. Yes.
Good. So that is how most of the times in real world will be handling that. And let's see, are we still waiting?
Yeah, it is still showing pending.
Strange. Okay. Okay. So let's do this. Let's take a short 10-minute break here, buddy.
Okay.
Roughly 12:70, maybe 12:27, and keep the terminal. Have a look at the terminal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back, Rahul. Okay, so let's continue the journey. Let's go ahead and share the and check your terminal, please.
And now the image is available. Now we can click it.
Okay, what is the state? Status?
That is available.
Available. Oh, okay. So this is the image. Let's go ahead and launch it. It's an image. Pardon me. Copy. Still pending. Okay. In the meantime, just go back to your terminal. I think you ran the script earlier. Oh, actually, we came out of that. Okay. User interrupted execution. Okay. Stop it. Okay. All right. Come back to the browser. Still running. Okay. Just for sake of discipline, let's go and quickly run it one more time, please. EC2.py. Status check. It's still initializing, but okay. Fingerprint is can be established. Can you copy that error, that warning ECDSA, that line, and just paste it in the chat window for a moment? Let me just have a quick look. Are you sure you want to continue? I think this is the new one, right? The city can be established. Nothing has changed, right? The private key or things like that haven't changed, right, Rahul? You haven't.
This new server is showing.
Okay, it is saying not connection refused. That's strange. Go ahead and SSH into. Okay, this is 116. Now we are getting a reply from 116. Earlier we got it from another one, right? We didn't get it from 116. It's still working.
Yeah, this time we're taking from this.
Earlier, I think we got a response from N1 saying it was
N1, yeah.
231. Okay. And now we got it from this one, N2 or N3?
From N3.
N3 is the one where the SSH is not configured, right?
Yes, yes.
And we got a, what did we get here? This Ansible facts can be established. A success. We got, oh, sorry. Oh, it's saying it can be established with 116, 231. This is N1, right? Or this N3?
31 is.
This is N2. Is it?
It is N1.
N1, okay.
Yeah, 34.
So we still have to see why we are not getting it from. And you should, no, okay, that is strange. For the N1 underscore copy, we are not getting it. Is it because it is initializing? Can you go back and see?
Yeah, it is initializing. Maybe that.
Okay. Then we'll rerun this after some time later.
Yeah.
And let's see, let me come back here just to keep our time more productive. Let me come back here. Okay. Well, we'll keep this terminal like this. Or can you open another terminal? Connect to the controller. I think you need to click on the title. Okay. Increase your font size. I think you can use your control and a mouse or mouse also. That's okay. Go ahead.
Not using the mouse.
Okay. Give it maybe a blue background. Sorry about that. Sometimes I catch that color more. Let's say background. Choose a background. Yeah, that's one. Okay, apply. And a white foreground. Okay. Okay. And SSHI. You need to go into your downloads directory because you may have your key there. So private IP. Done.
Should I connect to controller?
Yeah. Keep the width of it slightly larger. Yeah. Increase the height. Okay, so you logged in, right?
Yes.
Now, just for sake of discipline, SSHI into from here, SSHI into the N1 underscore copy. N1 underscore copy.
Oh.
And what is the status? 2x2 checks passed. Okay. Now I think if you ping it, so say, it's asking the password. You did SSH. You did SSH, right? It's asking password. Aren't we? Haven't we already configured the passwordless?
Yeah, we have configured, but
And this is ending with 49. Okay. Do you remember the password? Admin.
admin, maybe it is admin.
Please try admin $123. Or admin $123. Oops. No. Try admin $123. Password. Who was that? Humera? By any chance, do you remember what was the password? The key password. No. Ubuntu, right? What are all the passwords you tried, buddy? Admin $123, admin $123, and anything else?
Yeah, I have tried admin 123 and admin $123.
Admin $123 also you tried?
No, no. 123.
Oh, let's see, what is it? Admin @123. Okay, interesting. But Okay. I think for answer admin we have given the admin, I think. There you go. So answer admin is there.
Yeah.
And, just go ahead and check the .ssh folder. This hyphen A. It says .ssh. Just look into that one. The key should be there. Authorized keys, right? Cool. So this is a oh, okay. The reason it is not connecting is because it was in initialized state, right? Okay. Now can you do a ping, please? Go back to the other terminal and let's see. A ping in the sense Ansible ping. Let's see if any progress. Okay. Control C. Okay. Rerun the same script again for sake of discipline. One last time before I move on to the next topic. You're looking at that. Let me come back here. Back here. 7, 2, 3. 7, okay. Let's see. We're still waiting for that. And let's see, this is now connecting 231. It says success. It's successfully connected. That is N1. So it gives 232. This is 21, ending with 21. And okay, at least we did not get their message. I still need to look into and see why we are only able to get the success from 231 and not the rest of them. Okay, Rahul?
Yes.
Okay. So what we'll do is, just in the interest of the time, you just leave this terminal like this for a few of them. We'll move on to the next topic. And tomorrow I have another exercise we'll also try to perform on this one, Rahul. Okay. So I come back here, share my screen. Okay. Sharing the screen, and let's say I come back here. Okay. Bring this up. Okay, back to a little bit of Docker and DevOps and things like that. We'll try to understand some of the principles of DevOps and where Docker and other tools come to rescue and things like that. Rahul, are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So software development lifecycle generally consists of different stages or phases where we are planning, coding, building, testing, deploying, operating, and monitoring. The ones on the left-hand side in other words, planning is generally the project management team, the business team performs that. Coding, building, and testing is performed by the development team. And the operations team is generally taking care of the deployment, operations, and monitoring. Okay, so what is DevOps? DevOps is a culture or practice which fills the gap between the development team and the operations team. In other words, short and sweet, it is a practice. It is something between development and operations team is what it means. Both the teams work together in entire SDLC to ensure the quality of the product, ability of the product to work in different environments, which means more precisely, DevOps is about increasing the quality of the product. Now, what exactly do we mean by increasing the quality of the product? Not just from the coding standpoint, but also from the delivery, but also from the deployment, and the smooth transition to the end user is one of the goals of the DevOps guys. Okay, lots of tools are available in market to automate this process. There are already a lot of tools, and DevOps helps us to run the life cycle of on each commit or particular interval by using automating process. In other words, it's too early for me to explain to you what we mean by each commit. We will try to understand it in a little bit more depth and try to simplify it, guys. Okay. Are you okay with me on this slide? Can you give me a quick yes, please? Just type in a yes, please. Okay. Okay, there is DevOps. It's a marriage. It is something between development and operations is what the symbol represents. And the benefits: more agility. Every commit is treated as a final delivery. In other words, every commit means every time a change is made to the source code, it needs to be built, and it needs to be packaged, and it needs to be deployed. So any small change, whether it's big or small, especially a code change, will trigger all these steps. So whether it is a small or a big change, every commit is where we are committing to our end users, which is a business or any other end users. We need to make sure it is not broken, and the final goal is to keep our customers satisfied and things like that. So one of the objectives of the DevOps is it should be easy to use. There should be less maintenance. It should be reliable and secure. In other words, traditionally, whenever the changes were being made to the software, these were the problems that generally they were facing. By the time it is deployed and monitored, they're running into many problems. As a result of that, maintenance becomes difficult. They are not reliable, and in other words, it may also impact the security. Is what is the problem? So the objective is to take care of all these problems. Those are the benefits of the DevOps guys. Okay, so here is, imagine a development team. The development team is writing the code. They're developing, and different developers are developing different kinds of or in other words, writing different kinds of code. So what do they do? The development team, after they write the code, they hand it over to the operations team. They're working on deployment, packaging and deploying the code base. But what can happen? Not only do they deploy, they're also taking care of the monitoring. How is the software working? Is there any problem from the package that they have delivered and things like that? There's generally a separate team. And what do they do? Well, if there is any problem in the package, they're also taking care of it. That is nothing but the part of the maintenance. But many times what is happening is they're running into issues, or in other words, they could also run into issues. So what do? We need to make sure that there are no issues. In other words, what do the operations team do? If they run into any issues, they will simply say, these problems are because there is some problem in the code. And the developers may say, our code is working fine in our environment, but it is not working in your environment. So the problem is in your environment. The operations team is generally setting up the environment, like the staging server, the production server, the backup server, the QA server, and things like that. And they're deploying these packages onto that. So what is happening is a little bit of blame game will generally happen in a real world, where each team in each department is pointing to the other, saying that it works in their environment, but it doesn't work in other environment. So our objective of the DevOps is to take care of that kind of scenarios. And why is it important? We'll try to understand. Yes, okay. So here is the idea. Idea is where you maybe the traditional flow is we come up with an idea, we try to build a product out of it. Idea is where you're coming and saying, hey, I want a shopping cart. Demand planning is, capacity planning. It could be you might be looking at a shopping cart for only 1 or maybe 10 users, so it could be hundreds, thousands, and millions of users if you're a popular website like Amazon and things like that. So that's the demand planning. PMO is again where the project managers are generally involved in taking up the estimates, how much time the task will take, and they're getting an idea, putting the plans into action, guys. Okay, that's where the business and the project management team both will work with the business analysts. They will try to map all the requirements and specifications. And then the architect, again, they will also take the help of the architect for the requirements and specification. And the architect, together with the UI team and the other developers, will form the final. This is generally the traditional flow of the software lifecycle, is what it is, guys. Okay, so we come here. Okay, so here is the developers team, and what do the developers team? There is a testing team. Most of the times, the developers write their code and they ship it off to the QA team. QA team is testing it and they give their approval. Now, what can happen once the QA team is say everything is working fine in their environment? They will go ahead and they may also have it performance tested. The performance testing can be done by internally, or maybe it might be a totally different set of tools or team in another parts of the world who are performing the performance testing. Then come the delivery part. Once the performance is tested, they go ahead and the service delivery team come into the picture, where they're working with the operations team and saying that, hey, the application is good and it is running properly and the performance is good, and they ship it over to the operations team where they're in they take the build and they try to package it and try to give it to the customer. Okay, so before giving it to the customer, they also make sure it is also working in their environments and things like that. But what could happen? So this is optimized by the role, is what we are saying. Now here is optimized by the flow. In other words, more precisely, here is an idea that the one in the green one is the customer, and the one in the red one is maybe we can say it's the developer guys. Okay, so once an idea is shared by the customer, ideally what we will do is the customer may have many different ideas, many different plans to of the software product or the project product that they have in mind. So what we mean by prioritize backlog is rather than building the entire house at one time, we will build it in step-by-step phases. Imagine we are building or thinking like that. So in other words, we are prioritizing what are the important features, what are the less important features, very important features, what are the core features. Core features will be very important features. So you're prioritizing. Then what do? You take all the greens. If you take a look at all the green boxes, whatever they are the most important features. What do? We first go ahead and develop the most important features, the core features, and we try to ship it off. So this is where different teams are working together. So in other words, generally what happens is all these features are put together at one time and they are being developed, they are being architected at one time, and then the customer comes into the picture. But now what we are doing is we are involving the customer right at the beginning, and we are trying to deliver it to the customer so that the customer is prioritizing the task, and we are delivering in much more smaller parts rather than a big part. Is one way to think of it, guys. Okay, so I will again try to simplify it a little bit. There's a little bit of theory here. Just bear with me for a few minutes, and we'll get into a little bit of labs and things like that. Is what it is, guys. Everybody okay with me so far? This slide leave a little bit of concept. I will still explain, but everybody doing okay there? Rahul, Subhi, can you give me a quick yes, please? Okay, so there it is, customer. Our objective is we don't want to deliver something. The customer may be thinking of something, and we don't want to be in a stage where we're delivering something else. Is what it is. If what is requesting is coffee, we don't want to give him a cool drink. Is what it is. So imagine if you take a car, a NASCAR or maybe F1 car racing and things like that. What is happening is there are a lot of people who are working. When a car is taking a break, or when there comes to a maintenance phase, there are a lot of people at work. So DevOps team is also an analogy which can be compared here, where some of them on the other side, on one side is the developers, on the other side is the operations team, and in the middle is the product. So what we need to do is we need to coordinate and work with it in a parallel way. Is kind of what is the analogy that we are looking at, guys. Okay. So digging a little bit deep, in the pre-DevOps world, or in other words, in a traditional software development lifecycle, all the stages were different. Strategy is where you're planning, design is where you're architecting, transition is where you're writing the code, operation is where your operations team is coming. Continual improvement is you're taking the changes from the customer and reprioritizing your features, and the change management is going on, and things like that, guys. Okay. So more importantly, what is happening in traditional world is everything is siloed. Each department doesn't know what is going on in another department, another team, and they were separated from each other. So as a result of that, the process was slow, and it was not also very trustworthy. In other words, they were running into small mini issues, guys. Okay, so that is where the DevOps come into the picture. So we have divided this into automated testing. DevOps is kind of looking at it in 3 phases: automated testing, continuous integration, continuous delivery. These are slightly theoretically heavy concepts. I'll try to see if I can convey it to you in a much more simple way, is what it is, guys. Okay, so let's see what they are. So here is the DevOps. The symbol is the symbol of an infinity and things like that. More precisely, it has a symbol of infinity, which is referring to not to infinity, but it is like a continuous improvement. That is what it is. That is what is the objective. The process is generally you start with plan, then you code it, you write then you build it, then you test it, you release it, you deploy, operate, and monitor. So all the blue color is what the development team does, and all the orange color is what the operations team generally performs. And this is a handshake. This is a continuous process. That is why we use this symbol, guys. Okay. So for coding, we may use GitHub for checking in and things like that. We will use Visual Studio Code Editor, Microsoft Visual Studio.net, or whatever, PyCharm and things like that. For building and testing, continuous Jenkins is a tool which can come to our rescue. And for deployment, you have Puppet and you have Ansible. And then for operating and monitoring, we generally, AWS is the most popular, followed by Azure. Then we have New Relic for monitoring the application performance, trying to understand the code level metrics and logs and things like that. And as we go along, so now, why is DevOps becoming relevant? So Docker is also coming into the picture. Docker comes into the picture at the time of deployment. Why we'll try to understand. So this is where the Docker is coming into the picture, guys. Okay. Now, why it is becoming relevant is the multi-cloud environment, which is with the businesses and customers today are working with multiple clouds. In other words, to satisfy certain requirements from a security standpoint and many other requirements, our applications, we may need to deploy on multiple clouds. And we do not want to exactly run into scenarios where we say it is working on one cloud, but it does not work on another cloud. And what is that? That is where the Docker comes into the picture. That's where the Docker comes to our rescue, and not only a multi-environment, but also in a multi-cloud environment. Dockers and containers come to our rescue. Everybody with me so far? Quick yes, please. Okay. So why does it matter? So these are at a high level: plan, code, build, and so on are the different phases. And let's say, stop the share here. Let me share another tool here. Stop the share. I'm sharing the screen again. So share it. Come here. So back here. Snap it. Put this here. Okay. So let's say, what is DevOps, guys? DevOps is, it's a marriage between the development and the operations team. The objective is, in every stage, we need to continually improve it. That is what is continuous improvement. CI, we are generally constantly hearing CI/CD tools and things like that, guys. Okay. So the overall objective is continuous improvement in every stage, not just in one stage, is what it is. Continuous delivery spans from planning stage till the release stage. This is referred as continuous delivery. Continuous integration is spanning till the testing stage, the QA stage. Continuous agile development, so is spanning till the build phase, roughly, is what it refers to, guys. Okay. So we need to kind of get a feel, have a high level of idea of what we mean by continuous delivery and continuous integration, CI/CD. And that is what we'll try to work, guys. Okay. So the objective is no more vendor lock-in or tech lock-in. In other words, whether you're working in multiple environments, multiple clouds, multiple vendors and things like that, if it works on one environment, if you can somehow make it work on other environments, what is that? That is a global medicine. That's one medicine which can take care of many of the DevOps problems and things like that. So that is where the Dockers and the containers come to the picture. And what is the advantage? Well, we will be able to deliver much faster to our customers, make the customers much more happy and satisfied. And the quality will be higher as a result of that. And we can also lower the costs. Okay, so what is it? These are some of the objectives of the goals as to why we need to look into the world of DevOps, guys. Everybody okay with this slide? Quick yes, please. Okay, so let's say come here. So again, the story of the blind man and the elephant, some people refer to it as a culture change. Some people refer to it as an infrastructure as code. And it's the operations and the collaboration, it's an automation, it's a deployment. It is a combination of everything. DevOps, some people also, a standard definition is it's a culture of how you work. So one of them is husband, another one is wife. Generally, there's a lot of misunderstandings between husband and wife. And what is it? A culture can take care of those problems, is one way to think of it, guys. If you follow a proper culture, there can be a good sync between the husband and wife, and that one is development, another one is operations, is another way also to kind of picturize it, guys. Everybody okay with the slide? Quick yes, please. Okay, thank you, Rahul. So let's go. As I said, I will maybe spend a little bit of time trying to give you a high-level idea of what is the importance of these things. And once in a lifetime, if you have an idea, that should be good enough, guys. Okay, so here is what is going on. Today in the businesses, a lot of deployments are being done. In the year 2014, 4% of the companies deployed multiple times a day, 7% deployed daily, 17% weekly, and so on. This is the story of 2014. By 2015, notice numbers are increasing. The number of deployments, especially in large organizations, is increasing. So 17% on an average versus in 2015, 40%. And as years are going by, notice the percentage of the deployments are increasing. In other words, more and more deployments means more and more work is being done. More and more handshake is being done between the husband and wife. And a lot of work is being done. And that is what is the scenario, guys. Okay, so if you go one step deep, take a look at this. Amazon deploys to production every 11.6 seconds. Maximum number of deployments in a single hour is 10,000 times. That is maximum number. That is just to give you an idea. And how do they deploy? What do they deploy? How can somebody deploy to in 11.6? Well, that is a different scenario. If you take the the most highest scenario, the best case scenario, that this is the scenario. In other words, what they're trying to convey is a lot of deployments happen, and the architecture of the Amazon is also slightly different, guys. So there it is. On an average, we can say the frequency of deployment is in Amazon is 1,000 deployments per day. They're all different kinds of services, different kinds of products, goods, and things like that, for which they come up with these deployments, guys. Okay, and the rest of them, Netflix is at 1,000 and so on. These are, so in other words, what we are trying to do is the deployments are increasing in large organizations because the requirements are such that they are trying to make their business more and more dynamic, and as a result of that, the deployments are increasing, guys. Okay, so back to software development life cycle. These are the different stages from planning to monitoring. So in planning, again, the requirements in coding, your coding, building, that is where your code is taken. The build team, the operations team is, in other words, the development team will themselves write the code and will ship or will build a build package, a jar file, maybe an exe file, or it could be as simple as a script file also will be handed over. That is generally referred as a build with all the necessary dependencies and things like that. Then comes the packaging. Packaging is where the operations team gets into the action. They will work with the build and they will try to package it, again test it, and they will try to release and so on. At a high level, these are the high level steps. And let's see, pardon me. One more. Okay, so in other words, at a high level, these are the steps which is going on, guys. Okay, so the principle of continuous delivery and practices. One more time, we'll try to kind of sink in and be familiar with them. 8 principles of continuous delivery, and let's see if I can help these things. And let's see what is happening there. Okay, the process for releasing or deploying software must be repeatable and reliable. Okay, in other words, we deliver a product. Let's say this is what is the product that the development team has developed, but this is what is being expected by the customer. So there's a lot of difference between these two. Okay, the process for releasing and deploying. So in other words, by the time it went to the deployment, we understand, hey, it's not the same thing, is what it is, is what it is, guys. In other words, we may add small changes, small features to these things. And what do? There's a lot of manual intervention which is going on during the process of deployment to from development to deployment. Okay, so if we can somehow simplify, how do you simplify? You can automate them. Okay, and if you automate them, what will happen is it becomes repeatable. You can also rely it, and you can be at peace. If something is difficult or painful, do it more often. In other words, don't do the painful things more often. Simplify them. Remove the pain is kind of one way to think of it. How do? You automate it. If you take a step-by-step approach and you try to build it in a proper way, you maintain a process. What is the process? That is what is Devops about. You can automate it, and as a result of that, the pain is gone, and we can do it more often. Okay, keep everything in source control. In other words, all the source code, whether it's a source code or any other kind of artifacts, the builds, the packages, and things like that. If we maintain different versions of them, many times we want to roll back to previous versions in spite of some less features and things like that, and prefer a stable release rather than a release with the bugs and things like that. So that's where the source code control comes into the picture and our rescue, guys. Okay, done means released. In other words, we want to be able to, in that stage where we want to be able to release any version, whether it's a newer one or whether it's a old one and things like that. So the quality of the build is ensured by using the source code control, also by putting in the builds and the different kinds of artifacts into that. Everybody has responsibility for the release, means it's both the husband and the wife together run the family. The family is a complete business. In other words, it's not just, we want to avoid the scenarios where the developers are saying, hey, it's a problem in operations team, they did not package, their environment is not right, and the vice versa. That's what it refers. Improve continuously. So in other words, continuous improvement. That is what is the CI. The objective is, a family, what do you do? Well, you continuously improve your family. You learn from yesterday and you try not to repeat the problem. So just like that it applies to the husband and wife, you also try to apply that in a business. The developers and the operations team are handshaking constantly, whether it's a small release, a minor release, or a major release, and they should try to improve. That is what is the goal. So that becomes the principle at a conceptual level, guys. Okay. Then we have continuous delivery. Okay. For the sake of discipline, I'll quickly read a few things out. Slightly important stuff is here. So build binaries once. In other words, when you write the code, imagine you have written the code. And what do you do by the time? So let's say come here, we are here. It is working in the development environment. And by the time it goes to, let's say, the customer, which is a totally different environment, a different server with different kinds of specs and things like that. If this is working in a different way, let's say if this is working in this way, and what is that? Well, it works like this in this environment, it works like that in that environment. That's not a good one. So in other words, what you do is you don't build a different binary and you don't ship that one, which is different from this one. In other words, that's what is build binaries only once. In other words, again, that's where the automation will come to our rescue and help us automate this process, where when we automate, the same is delivered. If there is any problem there that needs to be handled separately is what it means, guys. Okay. So that is slightly at a theoretical or conceptual level. And let's say smoke test, use precisely the same mechanism. Again, that's what I'm trying to convey. If we standardize how we deploy any release and we follow the same process, life will become easy rather than a challenge, is what it is at a business level also, guys. Okay. Smoke test, in other words, test it from an integration point of view, test it from a feature point of view. And how do you do? Well, you automate it. If you have to do everything every time totally newly, that becomes very, very difficult. The life will become very, and that is exactly what is the goal of Devops, to establish such a culture at a code level, at a building level, at a different department, at a stage level, is what it is, guys. Okay. Stop the line. If anything fails the line, stop the line means, more precisely, if it fails somehow, if we know it early, then what can we do? Then we can fix it. If you know it at the end, when you give it to the customer that something is failing, that will become a bad experience. Your customers, we may lose the customers. So at a slightly conceptual level, that's what the objective of the continuous delivery. When we deliver, we want to make sure it is not failing. We want to make sure we have tested it, and we want to make sure it not only works in the testing environment, but it also works in the deployment environment. We are shipping the same binaries that we tested. They are not different. If they're different, then something has changed, something is problem. We need to fix that, is what is the goal. Everybody with me, guys. Quick yes, please. Okay. So let's see. I'm still trying to get to the Docker, but let me just give a quick idea, guys. So here is an example of build with continuous integration. Imagine here is Safe. Safe is a developer. He's writing some code in his box, server, computer, and things like that. And what do they do? Once we write the code, they compile it. It is built, and what do? He checks in his code. And so his code is there in the source control. So that's a different server where the code is sitting, and things like that. Now here comes Lara, who is developing, who's again adding another feature. He could be adding another feature, or he might be modifying what Safe has written, or she's modifying what Safe has written. So what can she do? She may end up doing both, and she will also check in our code. Now what can happen? The changes that one developer has done, what changes Safe has done, Laura may not have an idea. or it could be possible she has an idea, but she did not fix it properly. So what can happen is the code is not proper. In such cases, it can be a problem, and the application may not run, may not perform in the way it is expected to run. In other words, there is a problem. That is a problem we can think of, guys. Okay, but let's say what is built with continuous integration means here is safe. He's writing the code. He checked in. The moment he checks in, imagine somebody is picking up what he checked in and they're testing. For a moment, you imagine this is a person. The build server is a guy who's immediately taking the code. He's building it, he's packaging it, and he's testing it, making sure the product is working fine. Okay, so now what happens is, if it is working fine, it is checking into the source control. Now it is checking back the package into the source control is what is happening, and everything is good. Now, here is Laura. On another day, Laura comes in, she picks up the code again, and she's making modifications. She may be adding modifications, and again, she checks in her code. So the build server is again, what is happening is the moment you check in, you commit. That is what is referred as a commit. As in when the developer fixes something, he thinks it's in a good condition to be released, they check in, they commit. So the moment you commit, what we are doing is we are picking up. The build server is a person who's picking up and again verifying all the tests. Hey, is everything working? And things like that. If everything is working, he's going to put it back. Put it back into that package into source control, and that package will be deployed. So in other words, what is happening is we are avoiding the scenario where the two developers have not been coordinating or not being tested individually is one way to think of it, guys. Okay, again, that's not a perfect example. I'll still try to help you understand a perfect example, but let's say okay, so I'm trying to give you a rough idea. Everybody with me here so far? Quick yes, please. Rahul, Shubham, are you catching by any chance? Are you catching the slide? Okay, stick with me, guys. What if Laura forgets to pull the code, save made changes, and to decides to push it? Yes, in such case, if there is a dependency, it will fail. And somehow, if we can report the failure earlier, what is that is the objective of continuous integration or deployment. Shubham, is it making sense, Shubham? Okay, so yeah. Okay, so the continuous deployment, guys. Okay, what is continuous deployment? There is developer is writing code. They build it, they're testing it. And then the tested code is generally packaged. The developers don't package, they don't store, they don't provision. That is taken care of by the operations, the network team, and other teams and so on. Then the code is deployed is what we are referring here. So the developer may help or assist throughout these phases. Here comes QA. QA is the testing team. They take the provision code, they are testing it. They're deploying it, they're testing it, performing some manual tests, some automated tests. And here comes the operations team. They're just once the QA team says, hey, we have tested successfully, then that is being deployed. In other words, the operations team is coming at the time of provisioning, and deployment team is what we are trying to convey here, guys. Okay, so continuous integration is, these are again the different phases. Here is a developer, they write a code, they commit to the version control. Then the moment if somebody commits it to the version control, that means they are confident their bug is fixed or their work is in a good shape. What do? If we can somehow trigger, and for a moment, imagine somebody is watching the developer, the moment he puts the code, they're coming in and they're detecting that the code has changed and they're triggering a new build. They're building a new build and they're testing it. Let's say, imagine for the sake of simplicity, whatever code the developer has written has failed. Okay, so what will we do? We immediately go back. We are not deploying it. We are not taking it all the way to the release phase. We are immediately deploying it. Because a developer, even though they fix it, he may not be able to envision all the scenarios that he needs to test. So that's where QA comes. And QA may also not be able to envision all the scenarios. So what do? If we can somehow figure out by writing different kinds of tests, that is what is unit testing at a much more fundamental level. If they are able to run the unit test, what do we do? Well, we go back and give it back to the developer. What does the developer do? The developer will again look into the code and they will fix. And what is it? Until the fix is really done, this loop will continue. So what is happening? This is a continuous loop. That is what we mean by continuous. What are we doing? We're trying to take care of this until it is taken care of. What is it? That is also continuous improvement. So what we are doing is we are giving feedback at a much more atomic or a minor, at a microscopic level to the developer is one way to think of it. So that is continuous. Then comes the so as the developer fixes the code, as it works properly, what will we do? Another trigger is being triggered. And what is that? That build is being sent to the next phase, which is the acceptance testing phase. If there is any scenario or the test which fails in an acceptance testing phase in spite of earlier unit testing, the unit testing is generally done by the developers. Acceptance testing is where the QA comes into the picture. The QA team will report back. And what is it? That is also a continuous process. Until all the tests or the scenarios are being taken care of by the developer, the continuous loop goes in. And when they, again, so here again, the developer has fixed the scenarios. And the green means they have taken care of the scenarios. So what do? You ship it to the QA team, which is again performing the testing. Okay, now the QA team tests again, they are approving it. And what do? Well, now you are performing a final testing phase, which is user acceptance testing. Once you perform final acceptance test, if all the tests go up, then you release it. And let's say come here. Okay, so what is that? That is continuous deployment, and that is what is release management. In other words, before going to the release, before even going to the testing team and things like that, there is something called unit testing we are performing from a development standpoint. Then the QA team is coming into here. In the release again, that's where the operations team will be coming somewhere over here is what is the idea, guys. Okay, getting a rough idea, guys? Quick yes, please. Shubham Rahul, thank you. So again, that is what it is, guys. The story of the blind man and the elephant. So it is not only automation, it's faster and smaller releases, a very important point. A lot of collaboration, a lot of communication between the developments and the operations team is what we are referring as the DevOps, guys. Okay, now let's see, we are getting into the meat of the thing. So let's see what is Docker, guys. So there is developer, and on the left hand side, on the right hand side, the developer is writing the code on the left hand side, and what is happening there on the right hand side, we have another developer, maybe another team itself, guys. Okay, so we design, we develop, we deploy, and the Docker, what is Docker, we'll try to understand, comes into the picture when we are in a deployment scenario. When we are ready to deploy, that's where it comes into the picture. Oh, okay, sorry about that. Okay, take a short 5-minute break, guys. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay, guys, are you back? Can you give me a quick yes, please? Great. Thank you, Rahul. Okay, so let's see. So Docker comes into this picture at this stage of the deployment, and it is present in the entire workflow, even though it's okay. So let's see what it means. Docker makes the process of application deployment very easy and efficient, and resolves a lot of issues related to deploying applications. So all the issues that we have been at a conceptual level been discussing so far can be mapped down to a technical asset, which is referred as Docker. In other words, by using Dockers, which is again internally a group of containers and layers, things like that, we're able to, pardon me. Pardon me. So all the issues so far we have been conceptually discussed can be mapped to a concept referred as Docker, which is internally again a group of layers and containers, and that is what we'll try to understand and simplify in the coming updates, guys. Okay. So how does it do? Let's try to understand that. Docker is the world's leading software container platform. So it is a platform for container. It's like a ship where you have a lot of containers. So that is why we have the symbol of maybe a whale, maybe a dolphin or a shark with a lot of containers on top of it, guys. Okay. So here is what we have. In an IT world, we have a lot of softwares, front ends, products, projects, and things like that, which are working, which are referred as a software stack. The software stack consists of multiple internal layers, the backend layer, the business logic layer, the UI layer, and things like that. And each of the software or the product or the package comes with a lot of other dependencies, is what it is. That is what is referred as software stack. So ideally, based on the environment, based on the operating system and other kinds of servers at a physical level or maybe at a software level, there are different combinations of these layers are being put together and they're being shipped across manually. Is generally the process which is being followed, guys. Okay. So in other words, what may work on a Mac may not necessarily work on Windows or Linux and vice versa and things like that. And what are these combinations which will work is always a question or the right permutation and the combination may vary. So that is what is a question, guys. A classical problem in shipping industry. In other words, at a slightly friendly level, we can think how to transport the different goods having different size, shape, and requirements. In other words, we have cars, we have some packages, some chairs, tables, and other kinds of goods here. What we are saying is we need different customers have different kinds of needs and requirements. Some may need one, some may need a combination of these goods. And what we need to do is we need our final objective is to be able to deliver it to the customer to make the customers happy, guys. Okay. So some are big, some are small. In other words, the requirements are different, the specifications are different at a software and a config at a physical level. And that is really what we mean by some items are big, some items are small, and so on. So what we can do is rather than individually identifying each of these things and trying to understand the permutation and combination which is working, what we can do is why not we put everything in something, and that something is referred as a container. What we do is we package everything together and put it into a box. That box is referred as a container. Now we have a ship, we have a aeroplane, we have a road truck and things like that. No matter what is your shipping mode, if we give the complete container to either a ship or a truck, we have all of them together. And what happens is there is the problem that it worked in one environment. So here shipping is one environment, on the road is another environment, aeroplane is another environment. So if you give the complete package rather than giving the right permutation and combination, what will happen is we have the complete dependencies and everything packaged in a box which is referred as a container. We do not run into these out of sync issues. Out of sync at an environment level issues is what really it means, guys. Okay, so coming together, there are a lot of permutations and combinations, and let's see if we can simplify it a little bit more that we are trying to understand. And what we do is we use a box. What is that box? That box is a Docker. What do you do inside that Docker? You put a group of containers. A Docker instance image may contain one container or multiple containers, and let's see, and what is a container? Again, we'll try to go into those details. So at a slightly high level, we can say Docker is a tool designed to make it easier to deploy and run applications by using containers. At a more simplistic level, you may also want to think Docker is an image. Image is a group of containers, and we'll try to simplify that. Containers allow a developer to package an application with all the parts it needs, such as libraries and other dependencies, and ship it out as one package. So in other words, it's a box. The box is a container. It is all its dependencies inside it, not individual permutation and combination of the releases and things like that. You take all the dependencies and put them together in a separate box. It's like a gift box or a gift package with all the gifts inside it is what you can think, rather than choosing the individual gifts manually is maybe a way of getting a picture of it, guys. Okay. And let's see, so there is a developer. What we are doing is you take all the software stack, you put that different kinds of dependencies, libraries, and put them together in a box. That's a gift box. And what you do, that gift box is referred as a container. And now what you do, a group of such containers can be referred as a Docker platform. And what you do, you ship that to the operations team. So whether the operations team or whether it's any other kind of team, no matter what environment, what cloud you're using, and things like that, what is the advantage? If it works in one environment, it is sure to work in every other environment, works on my system, and so on. So in other words, we never run into, by using at a conceptual level, if you're able to conceptualize and picturize a situation where if we can somehow put it into the box and make it work in all the environments, if it works in one environment, what is that box? That box is a container. Now that box is a Docker. Getting a rough idea, guys? Everybody with me? Quick yes, please. So how do we build a Docker or image, and what is an image? What is a container? That's what we'll try to simplify and understand this, okay? So here is the general workflow. There is a developer. The ideal process is we create a Docker file. It is one of the main components which tells you, it describes the steps to create a Docker image. So the Docker image is like the ship. It's like a recipe with all the ingredients, and that's what we'll try to simplify and understand in the coming up days, guys, okay? So from a Docker file, we create a Docker image. The Docker image can contain one container or it can contain a group of containers. And what is a container? We'll try to understand. And the Docker Hub is the central repository. This is where the professional businesses and organizations go ahead and publish their Docker images so that we can directly download them and run them. So in other words, if you want to, if you have written a Python application or a Java application, and you don't want to be worried about, installing the Python maintenance and the other dependency packages and things like that, we can directly go to hub.docker.com and download a Docker image, which contains Python already installed or Java already installed or a combination of these softwares already installed, so that we can avoid the step of installing this, configuring this, and so on. And that way it releases the unnecessary steps of installing them and taking care of them, of these softwares and additional packages, guys, okay? So from Docker Hub, we either pull, you pull means you're the process of downloading, push means we can also publish our own images. Maybe we have come up with an interesting combination of Python and other softwares together. And what we would like to do is we would like the rest of the world to get a feel of it, test of it, so that, once they have a taste of it, they will come back to us and we can customize requirements, make more money and things like that. That's what the businesses are doing, guys. So they go ahead and they publish their images. So the Docker is referred as an image, and image contains a lot of containers. Everybody with me so far? Quick yes, please. So more precisely, the app, if it works, if the app works in the box, then the box can be replicated across multiple environments and cloud, and never run into the scenario where it works in one environment but does not work in another environment. That is what it is about, guys, okay? Let's also get a quick feel of what is virtualization versus container. So here is virtualization. We have a host operating system, in other words, a bare metal server with the host operating system. And hypervisor is a kind of a layer or a software which sits on top of the operating system. What it does is it allows us to install multiple virtual machines. A virtual machine is like a machine which is acting like a machine in another physical machine. So it looks like there are, if we install 3 virtual machines, it's like equal to installing 3 machines on one physical machine. And what is hypervisor? Hypervisor is helping coordinate the communication or separation between the host OS and the guest OS. Guest OS is what we have in the operating system. Okay. VM's resource allocation is fixed and does not change. So we can fix, say, for each virtual machine, how much hardware versus the software specs we want to use. We can configure them, and the hypervisor will separate them and will take care of that, guys. Okay. So that is referred as virtualization. Everybody with me, guys? Quick yes, please. And one moment, please. So we'll try to understand what is Docker file in a maybe today, or maybe we'll be spending some good amount of time there. Just hang in there. Let me cover a few high-level terminologies and things like that before we get into those things. Okay. So here is containerization. Containerization is what the Docker is about. It is a shortcut to achieve the same thing with much more less resources and things like that. In other words, hypervisor is something like your virtual box or virtual machine, VM player or VM virtual machine software is what it is. But containerization is where we remove the layer of hypervisor and we use container engine. The container engine is something like a Docker. What it does is now we don't have to install a separate operating system. It can work on a single host operating system. The container will take care of the communication between the host operating system and all the applications. So in other words, that is what the Docker will do. It will avoid. So as a result of that, and we are saving a lot of resources, hardware and software resources of the multiple guest operating systems, and also an additional hypervisor by just using the container that is referred as containerization. Okay. So again, we'll try to simplify it. So if you at a slightly high level, we are, at least if you're noticing 3 guest operating systems, they will take a lot of resources. That amount of resource utilization is getting saved. And in a container, we can have multiple containers with their own dependencies and things like that. That's what we'll try to understand. Yes. Okay. Containers are lightweight alternative to VMs. So in other words, they're also acting like virtual machine, but without that much load as a virtual machine takes into picture is one way to think of it. Everybody with me, guys? Quick yes, please. A container is like a lightweight VM is another mantra, or is another way to think of it. Okay, let's move a little ahead. So that container engine is nothing but the Docker engine. The Docker is generally referred as an image. And let's see what it means. So in a Docker, it follows a client and a server architecture. We have a client and a server. The client is where we type in all the commands, and server is where the actual processing goes on, the process of creating an image, adding the layers to the image, adding the containers to the image, separating them. And Docker takes care of all these things, guys. We don't need to worry about that one. So it is referred as a client-server architecture. The daemon is nothing but the process. It is a background process which is receiving the commands through the CLI or the REST API. And Docker client and daemon can be present on the same host or different hosts. So in other words, we can install it on a single machine or multiple machines also. And that's what we'll try to understand. So here is the different high-level terms and the components at a slightly technical level. Whenever we're dealing with the Docker, the first step is to prepare a Docker file. Then we create an image, and what goes inside an image can be thought of as a group of containers. Docker Hub, as discussed, generally people are publishing their Docker images into the Docker Hub, and Docker client and server. Generally, client does and is nothing but the commands where we type in the command line interface can be referred as the client. It is internally working with the Docker background process. Together, it is referred as a Docker engine. The Docker engine is something which is taking care of all these components, or it has all these components. So everybody with me? Quick yes, please. Can Docker container scale automatically? I think short answer is yes. Automatic scaling of and that's what this elasticity is about. Okay, so yeah, absolutely, you can have multiple applications. That's what is advantage, and it takes much more less resources. Short answer is yes, Shubha. Okay, so benefits of, okay, so let me see where we are today. Okay, we have 10 to 15 minutes here. Let me not bog you down with too much of theory. We'll quickly get back into a little bit of thing. So, Rahul, can you come back online and just access the controller application, please, if you still have it open?
Yeah.
While you're looking at that, let me come back here and see what I got. Docker install. Okay. When you're ready, please share your screen. Okay. So now what I want you to do is go back to your controller terminal, or any luck with that one, with the black terminal? Black terminal, did we get any response?
Yeah.
We're still there, so we're kind of stuck here, right? On the EC2 road pipe.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think we can stop it off. Don't worry about that. Just stop it off. I'll see if I can take care of that separately. Get back to the blue terminal. For some reason, my eyes seem to be a little bit more on the blue terminal. Sorry about that. If the colors are a little the same. Get back, do a CD. And I think earlier we have created a user called automation. Can you switch user to automation? This is no, I think you need to come out of this.
This is not a controller node.
Exit this
Yeah.
into the.
I will come out.
If you exit this, I think you'll be in the that one only. Exit. Is this the controller?
Yeah.
238. Yes, buddy?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I think try to switch user automation. We created a user called automation. Okay. And let's say the reason I'm switching is just do an LSLTR. In Docker install, cat the Docker install.sh, maximize your screen. Let's say scroll a little bit up to the beginning of the script. Okay, that's where we cat. Okay, now here's a slightly tough task just for sake of discipline. Rahul, can you quickly try to explain what is going on here?
Yeah, first, we are first switching to root.
We're first switching to root. In other words, if the if block is checking if we are not the root, then we are giving them a please run the script as root. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. We are checking first. Then we are now checking the OS whether it is Ubuntu or not.
So in other words,
if not, then it is giving this.
Very good. Okay, continue.
Then older version, then remove older version. Yeah, we are removing the older version of the Docker. And then we are doing the APT update, and then we are installing some dependencies like APT transport HTTP, PA certificate, curl, and software properties common. Then we are setting the repository, Docker repository, and then first we are getting the GPG key for the repository, and then we are setting the repository, and then we are again doing the APT update, and then we are installing the Docker, and then now installing the Docker.
Caching.
Yeah, we are caching this first, then we are installing, and then if it is getting built, I think Yeah, if it is getting failed, we are not. If this script getting failed, then try it manually. This message will get displayed. Then, if we are successful, then this message will be displayed.
And let's see. So let's say I come back here. Okay. So now let's see. Go ahead and run this file one more time.
Yeah.
Do this file, please.
The server is running too slow. Maybe I'm still logging again. I'm not able to do anything.
Oh, okay. I think you have to log. Yeah, let's try. Try logging.
Running too slow.
I think for this one it is admin 1 to 3.
Yeah, we have set the password for this user, not for when we are trying previously. We have set the password.
Okay. Try any password, admin $123 or admin 1.
Saying that Ansible automation is not a suitable.
You're still automation. It's still automation, right?
Yes.
I think you can just say, do you remember the password?
Yeah, password. Maybe password is. Password is right, but it is saying that the error is different. Automation is not for us.
Yeah, we can add it to sudo's file, which is okay, but just type in su. Authentication. Are you sure that you're typing the right password? It's admin $123 or admin $123, I think. Oh boy. Let's see if this does work. We don't have to install. We already have it installed, but let's give on trying. Okay, let's do this. We already installed this one. See if you can later figure out what is the right password. If time permits. Rahul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's try to execute some commands here, and let's see. So ideally, the script would again reinstall Docker if there was a new version available, is what I'm trying to convey there. Okay. So now let's say, okay, we'll start with systemctl status Docker. Check the status of the Docker. Docker. Okay, active and running, which is good sign. And now just look for the version of the Docker, Docker -- version. And I think this is the controller node. We have already executed all these commands, but let's see. Okay, what are we doing here? Docker version, okay, we've done that. Next, what I will do is say echo $user. $user in caps. Pardon me.
Server is running too slow.
$user not configured? Sure. I thought
The server is running too slow. When I'm typing.
Oh, okay. $user. Automation, okay. So just check, just for sake of discipline, echo the $home. Okay. So we're at automation, and let's say sudo group add. It's group add Docker. Let's see. What's the password, buddy? I think you'll need to figure out the password. Admin123, admin $123, admin $123 is what you try to figure out if you can today. Admin $123.
Or we can create new user.
Or just reset the password again. Sudo group add org. We should be able to reset the password. Automation for this. Okay. Now, what is the command for password? Sudo pass wd, right?
Yeah.
Go. Let's go and reset it. Should be here, right? Let's see. Yes. So
Can we reset the password using same user, or I need to exit out of it?
pardon me, what is it?
Maybe we need to exit out of this automation, but then we can reset the password.
Password automation. Yeah, you exit. Yeah. You need to exit out of the automation. Sudo password. Is it slow?
Yeah. New password. I'm keeping it automation.
Okay. This is sudo password. What I thought was for the root we will set it. but that's okay. Complete that one. And let's say, come back. And this is for automation. So last step we'll do just to sudo password root. Oh, yeah, good. Sudo password root. Let's see if that comes up. Just give root. Okay, now get back in as root. Hyphen. Okay, now we root, and what were we about to do here? Where were we? Docker version, sudo. I think we were doing a sudo group add Docker, right? Oh, is it that slow? Is it that slow, Rahul?
Should I run this command?
Try running it. Okay, the Docker already exists. So for the sake of discipline, just say sudo group add Docker 2. So that we have field, we have added the group. And the last one for today, just go ahead and say grep Docker /etc/group. And there it is. We have Docker, and Docker 2 is what we have just started. Docker is already there. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll continue from here tomorrow, and we'll try to perform more Docker steps and things like that, Rahul. Okay. Okay. So guys, any questions before I wrap up today? Aniket, Sai, Shubham, Moin, and others.
Sir, can we get any content to study later? Like which you taught us today about Devops and
Yeah. Sharing the presentation and things like that, Rahul.
Yeah.
I'll definitely share. Sorry about that. Okay, buddy?
Okay.
Okay, guys. So we'll sign up for today. We'll continue the journey from tomorrow, guys. You guys take care and stay safe. Signing off for today. Thank you and bye for now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Take care, buddy.